What's up, Philadelphia sports fans? I am Anthony Pinto,
And I'm Keith Malashevsky.
and we are War Room Philly. Keith, what's up, my man? How's it
What's
going?
going on, man? I mean, it's a beautiful day. I've been working inside, so I don't sweat my butt off anymore.
We
So
rotated.
we did. And
We couldn't both enjoy that office life together, huh?
no, apparently not. I took all of that for the team,
Yeah.
which I think I'm okay with that. You might not be okay with that, but I think I'm okay with that. And honestly, sports are back. So how could I not be happy?
Yeah, I mean, we got to see, albeit in a scrimmage, we got to watch a Flyers game the other night, the other afternoon.
We
Um,
managed to see 3 Phillies games.
we got as many Phillies games as we did Sixers scrims. And we'll get into that
We'll get
mess.
into that later.
We'll get into the Phillies mess later as well. Um, but yeah, we got hockey, we got Sixers, and because of that, it feels good, man. So yeah, I do like that right off the bat. And if I can, real quick, uh, does this work? You can't see it, Keith, but I'm kind of showing off my new Flyers wallpaper that I just put up today,
I guess in theory,
and it's
I can see it. I just gotta wait.
to say,
Oh, I see
I
it
think
now.
I
Yeah,
sent you a Snapchat of it,
you
so
did, you did,
so
and
you saw
I
it
just logged
anyway.
into the chat room
But I
area,
was
so
like,
now I can do that.
I got this nice Joel Embiid, yeah, mouse pad. I was like, I need to get Embiid, and I got the Sixers representing. I was like, let's throw some Flyers and even some Phillies, since it's the Citizens Bank Park backdrop. But yeah, it's been a wild ride, and now here we are, and we're gonna have real sports games that matter this weekend, presumably baseball as well. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about with that. Expectations for the Flyers, expectations for the Sixers. Um, does Brian Elliott get any playing time in the round robin? If so, how would you do it? Things like that we can talk about tonight. We've talked about that before, but now that we've seen, and now that we've learned some things, we can kind of assess the
Yeah,
situation.
we can
Like
dive a little bit
like
further.
when everything was getting back, everyone was very heavy. Oh, Carter Hart, right? But with what we know now, he sat out some practices, and the back issue flared up, which is we're gonna kind of expect that throughout sports. Some issues flare up with kind of the stoppage and starts, and you see it. Of course, it has to be Embiid, but you saw Embiid with the Sixers, who went out with the calf, and he's
Yep,
practicing, so that's good. I think
2 minutes.
that's I think that's important to remember, is that he is practicing. So I think that's good to remember. And personally, real quick, when we can start, but like as far as Embiid not playing in scrimmage games, I don't necessarily care, but I need to see him in these games that count, because I need to see. Forget seeding. I need this team to get like, I need them to gel. We have yet to see the Shake Milton, Ben Simmons at the four lineup, and I need to see them with Embiid just as much as I know it's all well and good to get Horford out there sometime too, but the whole like just wait and see thing with Embiid, it's we need to get this team going if there's any real hope at making a run. So that's my thoughts, at least on like the Embiid injury. I'm curious as to how you feel about it, Keith.
Look, it's the same way I felt about Carter Hart being out for a little bit. Honestly, I don't really care during the scrimmages. When it comes down to game time, when it comes to Saturday against the Pacers, 7 o'clock, that's when I'm going to care. I need to see that Embiid is in this amazing shape that they've been talking about, and I need to see him play the 30 minutes a game that we expect out of him in the playoffs. I think we will. I don't think a small injury will prevent him from being out there. I mean, for crying out loud, we saw him last year with a specially made faceplate. I think it was last year. It might have been 2 years. I don't even
Yeah.
remember. But we saw him with the specially made faceplate for that broken orbital bone. So I just feel like he's going to be out there, and I think that's when it matters. I don't care about the scrimmages. I don't care about anything else. I'll be honest with you, I haven't even watched the scrimmages. I've caught the recaps and the highlights and things like that because to me, I only need to see what's going on a little bit because I think they're toying around. And that's what I saw last night from those uh, stat lines and the minutes. And even when I watch bits and pieces of the game, because I can go ahead and I can, it's recorded, I can skip through some things. We saw Brett Brown trying some different looks and some different things. And that's what I want out of these scrimmages because when we get to Saturday, we'll get to those 8 games, and that's where it's going to start to matter for that seeding, and that's when it's really got to get locked in. Because I think ultimately when we do see that starting 5 that we've been told is going to happen with Ben at the 4, Shake at the 1, I think we're going to see a great fit on the team. I think that we're going to see Tobias Harris feel a little bit more comfortable, be able to shoot from the outside a little bit better, knowing what his role is. I think we're going to see a healthy Al Horford who's going to come off the bench with Matisse Thybulle, who looks phenomenal in these scrimmages, albeit, again, scrimmages, but he's looked great coming back.
Yeah, and I'm glad you noticed it because, look, that's my starting 5. Ben, J. Rich, Thybulle, Toby, Embiid. And I'm gonna say it until they win with the other lineup. That's kind of my look on things. But personally, I still think the best starting 5 is that lineup. You could still put Shake in and throw Ben down to the 4. That could be your first substitution. And you still stay strong defensively. And then you can also stay, you bring in Shake and change up offensively. But yeah, right now, it's we're gonna be in a wait and see mode. But Thybulle's looked great. Tobias has looked excellent. Tobias, this is what we need out of him. That steady 25 points a night. He got a max contract. Everyone loves to get on Ben Simmons about his shooting. Let's not forget Tobias Harris is literally his job is to shoot. That's why he got a max contract. He needs to start shooting and making them. And it don't have to be just threes. I even saw a few times Tobias Harris, again, it's scrimmages, but taking the ball to the net. Specifically when they struggled last night against the Mavericks, he kind of kept the team in it, and he was willing to go to the rim. That's what this team needs. That's again part of why I want Thybulle. It's no disrespect to Shake. Part of why I want Thybulle in the lineup is because I really trust his defense, and because I want guys like Toby and J. Rich getting on that ball early and often. Ben Simmons and Embiid need to be your keys the whole game. But if you can get those two rolling in the first quarter, then your team is going to keep moving. Throughout the whole 4 quarters, they're going to play offense.
See, and that's the kind of why I like actually Thybulle off the bench. I feel like Toby at the 3 is able to produce better. I think that's when we've had our better results, when he's sitting at that 3 spot. And I understand we do positionless basketball, and that's really why Ben is probably still going to be the facilitator that we know him to be, even at the 4 spot. That's why I like that, and I like that defense off the bench. I like that second unit really having those 2 major players, because beyond Thybulle and Horford, I mean, your bench, I'm not saying it's bad. You got to expect, though, you're going to end up seeing, like, Furkan's probably going to be in your rotation, despite the fact that I really don't want Furkan in my rotation. You're going to end up guys like that. So I feel like I want something quality like Thybulle and Horford kind of locking down that second unit for you.
Yeah, especially with Glenn Robinson. If his injury, now we're told he's fine too. But even if he's just losing minutes in these 8 games, you could see more Furkan. And why you bring up the case of Furkan Korkmaz, noted hater I am, right? But like, to be absolutely fair on him, Look, he gets rolling some games. I was the only sporting event, not the only, but the only Sixers game I got to see this year in 2020 was the game that Furkan Korkmaz put up 31 against the Chicago Bulls. When he
I
gets,
don't think he does that against playoff teams, though. That's how I feel.
I agree, and then in that case, he can't be out. But if he does get hot, I want to see him on the court. You know, woo, as I go up an octane. But an octave, not an octane. Oh, jeez, talking is hard. I should start a podcast.
I was about to say, you going from 91 to 93?
But yeah, no, yeah, going Supreme.
Supreme.
But you know, I do believe that Korkmaz, like, we'll have that one or two games, you know, in a series here and there where we're like, oh, Cork is going off, you know, and that'll be nice. And the whole, for him to have that, he's got to shoot, and I've said this before, he's got to shoot at probably about 40% from three to earn, you know, legitimate minutes on the court. And you know, it's hard, but it's doable for a guy like Korkmaz.
I just think that you're going to go with a 9-man rotation, and if I'm going with a 9-man rotation, we already know what our starting five's been named, and then you got Horford, Thybulle, you got 2 left. I want Burks and I want Robinson. Nobody else.
Yeah, right. Horford, yeah, I guess that's right. Maybe Mike Scott.
Well, yeah, he's in the talks there.
He hasn't looked that great though in coming back.
He hasn't, and that's why I'm saying if you the playoff 9, you hear people talk about their 9-man rotation for the playoffs. That's just who I see that you're probably gonna end up with, because you already know that Horford and Thybulle, you lock those 2 in, which leaves you 2 other spots. And if I'm gonna pick 2 other people, I'm gonna take the trade deadline acquisitions, because I think that Burks has looked good, and I think Glenn Robinson III has looked good. That's who I'm going to finalize that out with. Yeah, I understand Furkan can get hot and go rolling. That's great. And I understand that Mike Scott's been a piece on this team. So their thoughts. But I that's just, I guess, how I see it playing out. But that being said, we know that Furkan is Brett Brown's boy. We know that Brett Brown loves Furkan. So you're probably going to get Furkan all over the place.
Hey, if Brett Brown, first off, I agree with everything you said. Like, I was playing counterpoint just to do it, but I do genuinely, the 9-man rotation is the thing to go. You know, if things are, if you have to go to, like, oh, let's see what Korkmaz has got, you're probably in a bad situation, or you're in a really, really good situation.
Probably.
And either way, it's gonna be hard to do in a playoffs. So getting that out of the way. But yeah, and if Brett Brown truly does want to mess around and not do what you were just saying, Keith, play around with him, maybe a more than 9-man rotation. If things are going well too, well then guess what? If he does that and it doesn't work, then it's, you know, he's coaching for his job. I'm still under that mindset. I know it's constant, like, slight disagreement. Not that you know, like, disagree with it, but you disagree with potentially how the Sixers feel, I think, is what we normally...
Yeah, I mean, I would say that I agree with you, and he really should be held to he's coaching for his job standard, but I feel like Elton Brand's going to make an excuse for him no matter what, unless it's an embarrassment in the first round or he gets laughed out in the second round. But I feel like as long as he's competitive throughout however many rounds, and I also think it depends on who you lose to, because if you end up seeing the Bucks in the second round, I don't think you can be like, well, you know, we lost in the second round. Well, you know that the Bucks are probably going to the finals. When the Bucks go to the finals after losing in the second round, you can't go, you know, that's what I see happening, and the reasoning that I see that will be put forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just trying to pull up some numbers and stuff. But yeah, again, this is Brett Brown's, in my opinion, it's his last hurrah. You have to get to, look, it was the finals at the beginning of this year. I'm throwing him a bit of rope and saying conference finals now. You have to at least get to the conference finals.
Give him a little slack
and
for man
and
down here.
and you know, show me some reasons. Because look, say what you want, we all were touting Brett Brown in the things he was doing in the playoffs last year, right? Remember, like the things that he was doing, even going as far, and he's doing it again with putting Jimmy Butler on the ball instead of Ben Simmons at times, and now he's doing it with Shake Milton. So we do, in my opinion, see Brett Brown's best coaching in the playoffs. We just need to see that sort of level more. And it's just like, why does it wait for this team to show? Like, they're a 6th seed this year, and that's pathetic with the talent that's on this roster. And again, to me, that puts more pressure on Brett Brown than less going into this season. So um, I'm excited to get it going. We got, what's it, Sixers Saturday, Flyers Sunday,
Yep.
right?
You are correct. 7 o'clock on Saturday.
I mean, it can't come any sooner. It really can't.
It looks like 3.
And I really can't wait for that. And we were talking about, Scott did have 13, but a lot of that was towards when I stopped watching already in like the 4th quarter of the scrimmage. But this team, it's now or never, in my opinion. I would be shocked if they bring Brett Brown back after another lackluster playoff performance or outing. But as far as we're probably going to play the Celtics.
Probably.
And that should be a good first match, first round matchup. But it's going to be a tough one right out the gate because, like, we took care of the Celtics this year, but they've had your number for the last 3 years before it.
It's going to be no easy task. I mean, the Sixers versus Celtics is always an interesting matchup, and the Celtics are no joke.
Yeah. And you get, as far as these games, you got the Pacers even. Speaking of no joke, like the Pacers, you start off with, some top tier talent as far as, the East Coast goes.
Oladipo's look good. Brogdon's on that team. They're a very solid team. You can't just say, starting off with the Pacers, they're easy, it's fine. No, that's not how this works right now.
Yeah. Now, and just to that point too, the Pacers they're one of the teams you could technically jump to in the standings. So right off the bat, try to go and establish your dominance there, because if you get the Pacers and you move up, right now, if the Heat were to stay at the 4, then you play the Heat first round. Now, honestly, I don't know if that's any better of a matchup, to be honest with you.
I don't mind that.
I would probably rather the Celtics, because the Heat defensively play this team. They've shown it time and time. They showed it in, I remember a preseason game being like, this is going to give the Sixers fits when teams do this. But they showed the way they play the zone against the defense, or against the Sixers. It gives them fits, the zone.
But
I
think that's part of why we shifted Ben to the 4, because we're gonna go.
I hope you're right.
I think, and that's honestly, I think that's what it is. I think that's why we made that kind of a change, because they're not gonna be able to play zone like they were. That's what the point of this change was. So I think we're gonna end up seeing a much different look. I don't think that the zone's gonna nearly work as well as it did, because you're going to end up having people out there that actually can shoot, because you're going to have Shake out there, Richardson out there, Tobias Harris out there on those wings, on those edges that are able to shoot. So if you go ahead and you go spread that floor like that, then you have Ben and Joel who are going to be able to take them down low and really make them pay. I don't see the zone being nearly as effective. I'm not saying it's going to be completely ineffective, because really that comes down to the players, but I think it's going to be very much so less effective than it was.
Yeah, and only time will tell. But yeah, as far as this team goes this year, they're really gonna have to prove that they can fight through that, and that's definitely been an Achilles heel for this Sixers team. So that's again what these 8 games. They're not going to just be a tune-up, but you're going to be determining who you're going to play, and just like that, the Flyers are in sort of that same boat with these round robins. It's you're not playing for home ice anymore, but to get the number 1 seed would still be a really big deal, would it not?
It would. It would. Listen. I'll take any seeding advantage I can get.
Right now, so for the Sixers, wouldn't it be nice if the Sixers were doing a round robin tournament too, and but what makes the Flyers thing so great is that they're the 4. They go 0-3, and they are where they are, right?
Correct.
Can't get any worse. If it goes 0-3, it'd be bad for us as fans, especially because we've been dying for hockey. And let's face it, the Flyers aren't going 0-3. They're just not. So if you can get through that, you go from potentially the 4 to the 1 to the 1. Look, I go back to my first thoughts when we first found out the NHL's return to play plan. It's a good time to be a Flyers fan. It's a good time to be a Flyers fan.
It is. I mean, listen, the Flyers have a very solid team. We saw their roster being announced. Obviously, Oscar Lindblom is back with the team.
How awesome is that? Can we take a timeout real quick?
That on itself is worth mentioning.
Oscar Lindblom is on the playoff roster. Oscar Lindblom's name goes on the Stanley Cup this year. If and when the Flyers hoist it.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I mean, to say that he was able to beat bone cancer and come back in the season, to potentially come back and play in the playoffs, I can't stress how insane that is, because that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't use this word lightly. That's heroic. And it's a sight that all of hockey would behold over. Just the sight of Claude Giroux handing that Stanley Cup trophy directly to Oscar Lindblom. The thought of it sends chills up my spine. So, let's go get it done, boys. Let's go eat. Was that 100 Pence's thing? Let's go eat.
Pence, yeah.
Let's go eat. Look, I'm not being Homer on this when I say that things are really lining up for the Flyers right now. Now, are they a favorite to win the Cup? No. But
a lot of people are picking them as the number 4 seed.
But go out there and go 3-0 in the round robin, put yourself in the number 1 spot. Let's see. And honestly, even if like you said, even if they go the number 4 seed, I take my chances. It's hockey. There's no home ice. It's bubble hockey, baby.
Best of 5.
Let's go eat. Stay in the bubble. Exactly. It's bubble hockey, baby. Let's go eat. So.
Excuse me, I should say it's best of 7 once we get the normal best of 5 for the other teams. I'll take my chances. I'm ready for this. I'm curious to see who we're gonna end up getting. Because there's just so many variables to pick. You can't really figure out who you're gonna end up getting.
Yeah, but we have no idea who the Flyers are gonna get yet. And good. Guess what? That's something that we'll be able to talk about, and through the weeks to come too. After one game, we'll be like, oh, who are they going to put? And as, the tournament gets going and stuff, we'll be, monitoring everything. Constantly trying to pick out and predict who they're going to be playing and who they're going to be matching up against. And, oh, man, it's going to be a fun distraction. It really is.
It is. It's going to be very fun. And to think that they have, basically a week, a little bit more, until you end up with whatever playoffs it's going to be, that's exciting. Same with the Sixers. They don't really have, 8 games, and it's played over a little bit of time, 8, and then we have, not only do we have basketball playoffs, we have hockey playoffs. there's a baseball season going on currently, and we'll
Is
see how
there?
there, there is. There
Okay,
is.
we even got in chat. Miami baseball should be the Marlins should be throwing out baseball for this season. We'll talk. We'll get into that whole situation a little later. We want to
Yeah.
we want to get in some. We've been jonesing to talk Flyers hockey,
Yeah,
so we're gonna
we
do
have,
that.
we have a week and a half to really enjoy the round robin, 3 games round robin type deal here, and that'll be interesting to see. And the biggest takeaways I've had is they really haven't lost anything. That's how they looked a little rusty, but honestly, they still looked really solid offensively. Their defense looks monstrous. Goaltending hasn't lost too much. Like I'm in for that.
Yeah, yeah. I thought both teams came out the bat pretty sharp yesterday. You know, skating wise, there's a little bit of rust, like you were saying, as far as receiving and sending passes. I would think, you know, but as far as I thought both teams came out the gate flying and
It
ready
looked
to
good.
go.
It was
It was
very good.
it was really refreshing to just see hockey. I thought the presentation was really well done. Saw some new camera angles. Um, you you know they took the nets out, so unlike baseball, they're not putting cameras behind nets for no fans. You get better angles. Another
Yeah,
thing that another sport is doing better than baseball.
baseball just isn't doing anything well.
But yeah. Um, but as far as the Flyers go, yeah, this team is built from the goal line out. Defenses look great. The offense. I mean, let me look up stats if I can. I felt like the offense was. They had. I saw a lot of. It's funny because you could tell I was in basketball mode because I was like, oh, they're getting fast breaks, and I was like, they're called breakaways, idiot, in hockey. But they were
Speaking
getting
of
like,
passes,
what's that?
I was like, speaking of passes, let's just talk about that overtime winner, which I did see. Going
Exactly.
connecting to Lawton for that goal, like that was a thing of beauty.
That's what I'm saying. And the Flyers were hitting on that sort of play throughout the game too. That wasn't just a one-time thing. Um, I don't know if that's something that maybe they worked on. Like we're gonna just try to spring some people and do some really offensively aggressive plays, or if it was just the byproduct of the first scrimmage game and people trying to make a highlight. Either way, I thought it was fun to watch. But yeah, this game, that game, I should say, the Flyers, it was again, it was good. You had goals out of Couturier as well. You had the first one. Did you see that goal by Hayes?
I did.
Oh my god, it was filthy. Oh my god. Yeah, that was a really nasty goal out of Hazy. If I can get the hockey lingo going. But yeah. It's gonna be really interesting. And as far as the defense goes, really curious to see. Shane Gostisbehere has looked pretty decent in his showings. In that showing, I should say. And I'm wondering if and what his playing time is going to be, because.
I mean, they have a logjam at defensemen. Like that's just something that we know they have. It's tough to find time for people, and I mean that's ultimately a good thing that you have that deep of a rotation as far as that goes. I think Gostisbehere is going to have plenty of time that he's going to be awarded in these playoff games. I feel like he was hitting a stride towards the end of the year, much like the rest of the team. So I feel like he's going to be able to take some time away from somebody else, be it Myers or I don't even know who it would be, to be honest with you. But I feel like he makes the rotation.
Yeah, I would probably go Myers, maybe. Let me look at the pairings real quick.
That's what I was trying to
Maybe
bring up.
Justin Braun. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
Myers.
he's a veteran guy that's probably going to be there.
Yeah. That's just it's certainly not going to be. Look, that top line is golden, and that's when people talk about the defense being awesome. What they want to say is the combination of Matt Niskanen and Ivan Provorov are stellar, and they make this entire team better just having them as your 1 and 2. Both are individually very skilled, and together they are a great pairing, and just a really good find out of Fletcher.
Yeah.
Making that. You turned Radko Gudas into a top line, defenseman, essentially. So, yeah.
And he works so well with Provorov, which is
like,
phenomenal.
I just think, look, there wasn't a lot to their credit, but to think that people bitched about that trade cracks me up. And especially because
I was one of them. I will admit it that I just didn't. I wasn't a big fan of it, just contract wise and everything like that. And you know what?
I actually didn't have you in mind, so I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus there by any means.
It's because he had a no trade clause was my biggest thing, and he only has 2 years left, so I really shouldn't have cared much about the 5.75 million that he makes. Which, and at this point now, he only has 1 year left after this. So hey, you know what? If you make yourself into a cup winner, the trade pays off even harder than that. And I know you even said it. It got rid of Radko Gudas, so
And
that itself is worth.
Everyone thought that was the only reason why I liked this move, though. Now, granted, I did not see it working out as well as it did this year. I did not see, I knew Niskanen was good, and I even said, he could fit with Provorov really well. But I did not see them being, maybe, dare I say, one of the best 1-2 combos in the league. Maybe I'm getting a little homer there.
Of, you and Kevin Christian agreeing on a string of things.
What's that?
That was the beginning of you and Kevin Christian agreeing on a string of things.
Yeah, well, hey, look.
I remember Kevin Christian as occasional fill-in.
Is it weird that we start agreeing on things as soon as the Flyers are actually good? When I'm like, hey, they started doing most of the things I called for. That's all I'm saying. I'm not
there's a little bit of a.
I'm not saying I was right. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. It was. It's gonna be a fun ride. I think both teams, and even we got from Joe and Hunter in chat. On Saturday, you got hopefully a Phillies doubleheader, and then you got a Sixers game as well, and then you get the Flyers on Sunday, and another Phillies game. Let's go. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. As long as we can get these Phillies games in.
Oh man.
Which brings me to the unfun topic for tonight: baseball. Usually my favorite thing. Oh geez, I already got indigestion thinking about it.
I was say, your body is rejecting the idea.
You know what's weird? And not to get too detailed, that burp tasted like baseball because I shit you not, chat. I just had the Phillies all beef, the Hatfield dogs. So that burp tasted like baseball. I'm a big Nathan's guy. I usually go the Nathan's Angus. That's my number one.
That's hot dog eating competition hot dog. But, how can you go against that?
But it's always this time of the year. Especially, I'm gonna do it a lot more now that we can't go. But I get those. Yeah, I got the Phillies ones because it just takes me to the park.
Assuming there's a game, we got to pick a certain night, Anthony. We're gonna pick a night, and we have to have Dollar Dog Night.
Yeah, just have a little Discord watch party amongst us and chow down, and at least the
5 hot dogs each.
Trash can's right there. It's a short walk when I get indigestion.
You go ahead, and we can buy some kind of overpriced beer, but overpriced beer will actually be worth it at our own
Yeah,
house.
yeah. Yeah, it's insane. And yeah, like we got in chat, Miami are up to 17. Are they really suspended for the season? That's something that
They did temporarily take them out, but I don't think it's
it's
like
until
permanent.
Sunday, I heard, right? And like nothing has
Yeah,
changed on that.
I don't
I
think so unless something
look,
changed during
things
our
are ever
right now.
moving, and we're live. So when I don't have Twitter pulled up right in front of me. We are all, both, you and I, Keith, we're kind of like we're each of our own producers and, co-hosts at the same time here.
Why when you think down like I am now, it's to try to bring up news and things like that to try to see like somebody drops a bomb like that. Got to do some investigating.
But I do know that the number went up. I do know, again, last I heard was Sunday that they're done until now. Look, Marlins, their tests are now coming in positive because of something that happened, a week ago, and that's the thing with the Phillies. Everyone's all like, "Oh, yay, they're coming back negative." No, but like you gotta wait, this 6-day incubation period time, which honest to God, I'm just learning about. Someone tries to stay as up to date as I can on this information, but the whole like it's in you for 6 days before you can even test positive for it, or so, something like that, and that's why that more and more keep coming up that these guys are positive, and so with the Phillies, it's like you're really not gonna know. So they played the Marlins Friday, right? Like you're not gonna know until Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like you're not gonna know again until Thursday. Like those test results, Fridays, and like
it takes a bit.
Hopefully, I mean they're at least getting theirs back much faster because MLB, like all of these NHL, MLB, NFL, they all hired their own private contractors so that they're not taking any tests or testing away from the public.
No, which is I think a huge part of it.
It's a very good look, and which is why I'm going to bring it up a lot, because for as many things that they did wrong, I see it a lot in comments, which is why. Oh, how come my grandfather can't? It's like, well, that's the government's problem. These separate, entities are doing all they can. They're actually flooding the market even more and putting more testing onto the market because they're hiring companies and things. But I digress. My cardboard cutout will enjoy Dollar Dog Night. That's good. That's the night I want my Dollar Dog. That's when I want the cardboard.
That's exactly right.
Well,
I mean,
even though
your cardboard might be eating more than you.
What's that?
Your cardboard cutout might be able to eat more than you. You never know. That indigestion, man.
But so my brain's going a million different ways now. But yeah, getting to the Phillies, and Keith, I just know you've had a lot, like as far as this whole baseball thing.
It's very rare that I go off on Twitter, and you've seen me light up Twitter in the past week.
You're one of the few people I have notifications on Twitter. So every time you tweet, I get a notification because I gotta know what my co-host is saying. I gotta be tuned in. And yeah, I've been saying I'm not disagreeing with much, but I don't want to take the wind by any means.
No, I've been having the same point, and this is it's frustrating. It's aggravating. It's disgraceful, quite frankly, what happened. As more information has come out, my rant that I've kind of had like building in me has like evolved. Because at first I was gonna go and I still will lambast MLB and the brass. Rob Manfred is just an absolute joke in how this was handled. The fact that the Marlins were allowed to take a team vote, not even the manager, the owner, or somebody saying, "Oh yeah, we're playing this." No, it was a team vote that the Marlins were able to do to play the Phillies in that final game on Sunday after I believe it was 3 players, whatever it may have been, tested positive at that point, and they voted to play.
If it was 1, it was too many. Let's just get that clear first off.
Let's clear that up.
Okay.
But 3 or 4, Like, we're talking like outrageous at that point. So right there, the fact that MLB went, hey, you guys do what you want. You go ahead and vote. And that just starts off how we've already seen that MLB has mishandled this entire thing, dating back to the work strike, if you want to call it that, with trying to figure out the contract, figuring out how many games this season. MLB, after everything was settled here, Manfred go, we could have made it a 60-game season. It probably wouldn't have been any more than that anyway, so I'm glad we finally
Yeah, it was going to be a
like,
60-game season the whole time, was this thing, right? But then what the frig were you arguing over amount of games for?
Exactly. So we've seen the incompetence started from there, because this whole thing has been...
on!
Yeah! But we've seen that this is basically how they've been. It's not about the season. It wasn't about how to keep them safe. It wasn't how to put in the procedures in place to keep them in the right place. It was all about what they could get out of these negotiations, because it got them a universal DH. It got them the extended playoffs. It got them everything that they wanted to get, was basically what was happening. That's what I saw out of this, and it continued in, because guess what? They put in some protocols in place where you're really not supposed to go out of your hotel, much like the NBA bubble or the NHL bubble. You're not supposed to be really going anywhere with it. The team's supposed to provide you with all these things. But there is one distinct difference in the other leagues versus MLB, and that is that there are severe penalties if you break these rules. Severe penalties. We saw Lou Williams, who went to Atlanta strip club, nightclub, whatever you want to say, supposedly to get some chicken wings, which we all know that's not what it was. But
is that what they call it these days?
Exactly. But we saw him do that, and he's on a 10-day quarantine list. We saw...
No, he said he was getting some chicken heads, not chicken wings.
we saw another player, I believe it was Rashawn Holmes, got some delivery from an Uber Eats guy, and he was on quarantine for another 2 weeks. We saw severe penalties. I believe the NHL talked about it. If anybody went out of their hotel rooms and went out of their way, although they're in Canada and they're a lot safer, they ended up, they have, hey, look, you're out. No, we're not doing this. Severe fine, lost a draft pick for your team. Like, we're going to bring this hammer down. We saw the NHL with Las Vegas as one of their original thoughts as a hub city. We saw that things blew up COVID-wise in Las Vegas, and they went, hey, thanks, but no thanks. We're going to move this to a different city. And
to a different country.
Completely different country. Exactly. And that's my point. We've seen them take it very serious. This with the Miami Marlins going and having all those players after their Atlanta Braves series go to an Atlanta strip club, and then the MLB finds out about this. And you know what we've seen? Absolutely nothing. There's no penalty for it. Nothing. And you know what the consequences are? Now we have the Phillies on pause until at least Saturday. We have the Marlins on pause until at least Sunday. Loss of games. These games may never be made up, which is a loss of revenue, which means you have also an unfair balance of play, because at that point now you're going to have to think about doing winning percentage, and other teams might sneak in based on the winning percentage, because and that might benefit the Phillies because of less games played. If the Marlins are allowed to compete for the postseason, they might sneak in because they end up with like a 43-game season or whatever it may be because of this. Whoa, like, win percentage gets them in? No. And of course the Marlins are going to want to play. Of course the Phillies are going to want to play. I still don't necessarily blame them out of all this, because at the end of the day, we've seen it with the NFL. We've seen it with concussions. The players will pick to play, and it's up to the league to protect the players. That's what a responsible league does. That's what they do. That's why the NFL has added that opt-out. You've seen players take the opt-out in reaction to this. You've seen leagues like the NBA and the NHL put in the systems that they have. The MLB does not care about their players right now. They were caring about their bottom line and what they could get in the future, not just this
year. Yeah, it's been a really, really bad look. Really, really bad look throughout this entire everything. And at some point, leadership not only has to step up, but be held accountable if they don't step up. And that should go across the board. Forget just baseball while I'm on that note. But yeah, it's just like you brought up the number one thing you brought up, and the best point is we were arguing about how many games and how many dollars and how many. They were never putting in, and all leagues are a little guilty of this.
Absolutely.
But,
I mean, it's a business.
but the MLB is the most guilty of this until the NFL inevitably doubles down on what the MLB is doing. But the MLB, they're just most guilty. I mean, we had, while they, look, I think no matter what, sports is going to be starting around now, but they could have been going already, and we could have had things in place, and they could have had a bubble. They could have had all of this, but instead they were arguing over semantics, and they were arguing over novelty things, like how many games they're going to play, and extended playoffs, and DH, and putting a man on second in extra innings, and a pitcher's got to pitch 3 batters. All this stupid nonsense. It should have been not even secondary, it should have been tertiary.
What was the first thing that the NHL and the NBA did? What was the very first thing they established? The bubble.
Bubbles. And in multiple, in hockey's case.
Safety was absolutely first. Now, granted, the NBA, the NHL still had to go in and detail out more safety regulations. That's fine. But they started with that because they knew from the start they would have to establish some kind of system that they were going to have to protect their players before they were ever going to be able to take it seriously, that they were going to be able to finish the season. Because guess what? Let's just say that tomorrow, 5 Phillies all of a sudden test positive. The MLB season could be over.
Yeah.
I know that's strong, but think about it. Like, at that point, you could end up with 2 teams that need to be out for 2 weeks. I mean, the Phillies are not a small market team.
It also would come down to who's Atlanta playing. It would come down to Atlanta and who they played as well, because it's not just contained to the Phillies and the Marlins. Like, if this happened, presumably in Atlanta while the Marlins were in Atlanta, it could have affected Atlanta, and then it could also affect whoever Atlanta opened up against as well. So yeah. It could. That's certainly the doomsday switch. And again, all I can keep going back to is, for the life of me, NFL, for the life of me, just make a bubble. Make 1, make 2.
Not that hard.
Like, you have so much money, and you see in the early going how effective it's been. I mean, we're look, this is both ways. For bad for baseball, we're early on, and they're already getting slammed. Okay, yeah. Now flip it. Yeah, it's good, but we are still early on the bubble too. So we don't know. Obviously, if it stays utopian right now, that's great, perfect. Let's finish sports. Bleep, yeah. But hockey, hockey I have faith in because they're not in this country. Basketball still has flaws in that system with the workers coming and leaving, and they're in Florida. They're in Orlando. Yeah. That's the worst spot that they could have been in. But so far, so good, and I'm happy about it. And let's keep it going.
Look, and I was going to say, I know it's not perfect, but even if baseball had decided to bubble and went Arizona League and the Florida League, have those 2 leagues because they have plenty of stadiums, there's very minimal traveling, you're not going on plans, and really put down enforcement to where the players had to stick to certain areas, this would still even be better. I understand but it's something like that.
Yeah.
You can find areas like that.
They had the conversations. We they always put those to the side so that they could argue about how many games, and they could argue about prorated salary, and this, that, and the third. It's just, man, it's
now,
Joe thinks that Joe thinks they'll get it right. The NFL, man, I really hope you're right. You could do 1 on the East Coast, 1 on the West Coast. You could be smarter and go remote. You could go Canada. I mean,
and Europe.
London. That's what I was just about to say. You could go London, right? Like that. They've been pushing that year after year after year. You could maybe do that.
They have plenty of stadiums because of
But
football.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. I don't know. Now it's football, so I know we'll succumb no matter what. But like, do you sacrifice prime time because of things out there, or like, do you put them on at like 4 a, what's it, like 6 hours ahead? Like, do you put them on at like in the wee hours of the night so that we can watch them at like 7 here? You know what I mean? Or at 1?
I think that's exactly what would happen. I think they would put them on weird hours
Because
over there.
that's bizarre. You know what I mean?
It is.
To be.
Which is probably why it would more than likely be like Canada.
So
or
I would keep it here. Yeah, absolutely. But all I'm saying is I'm just going gears are grinding, and it's like, if you're trying to build your brand and everything, it's always all global. Now's the time. Now you can have your entire season, get it all out of your system, put it in London for a year, then we can stop with the games, or just give them a team, leave the Jaguars over there and call them the Jaguars from now on.
Jaguars. You're not wrong.
This one way or the other, but get it done, man. Go to New Zealand where there's 0 cases because they done things right.
If they need reporters to go to New Zealand.
Yeah, I don't know that I could. I don't know. I would have to be heavily sedated to make that trip.
That's like isn't that like an 18-hour flight or something like that?
I think it might even be more. I mean, it's Australia, like, so. It's
You have to fly out of California. I know that.
Yeah, so that's too much for me. But are you googling it? Are you going to the cloud?
Yeah.
I was because if not, I was about to. But I saw your face get brighter, and I was like, I think.
So from Philadelphia, we'll talk about just one stop because you can't nonstop that. From Philadelphia. One stop. It is 1 day and 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
A nice $2,000 too, as well.
Even now.
Even now. Yeah. Well, because there's nothing in New Zealand, so.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So, that's pretty. Yeah, like I said, just figure it out so that the games are somewhat at normal times here. Like, look, if it's 4:00 is the new 1:00, I can live with that. You know what I mean, or something like that. But no, it's the other way around there, right? Like they would do the 9:30. I could get used to that even. Do like a 9:30 game, and then like, I guess you could do. So if 9:30 is their 1, or like 1:00 game, does that?
Yeah.
So then you could do like a 9, and you could do like a. Still get like a 1:00 game in, and then like maybe like a 4:00 for the prime times.
I'm okay with that. Those Sunday games being early. That means I get to get up early, I get to watch my football, and then I can go and enjoy my day. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Keith, you probably feel me on this. As every day turns more and more, it gets easy. It gets easier to wake up earlier and stay up later.
If my day is early anymore.
Right, like,
the nature of work.
Exactly. Like you just as adult sets in more to adulting more and more, you realize, I'm not a night person anymore. I can't play video games until 2:30, 4 in the morning, or
pay for it heavily.
See, sometimes I can't even.
Control it.
Sometimes you just can't. But we'll see. Tony Hawk's gonna be coming out soon. New Madden. There'll be games to game a game.
I still have like 50 different games to play from when I bought from the summer sale.
I cannot friggin' wait for the Tony Hawk remaster to drop. I can't wait for it. I'm so excited. So yeah, I think that's not August. I think I said August. It's in September it drops. But the demo comes out in August. which is like friggin' Saturday. Speaking of Saturday, it's when the Sixers get back to action. Oculus is the shit. I can't do VR.
Yeah,
Motion.
September 4th.
I get motion sickness. You probably remember. I get motion sickness easy. I was talking to Joe Hunter. But yeah.
I knew that
you know that as well, Keith. But
we can't talk about blood with you.
That's a different notion than motion sickness. But yes.
It still ends in the same thing. You end up puking, so whatever.
Well, blood, I'll faint. Sometimes.
That's true.
That's even worse. I just I can't deal. I stroke out and I just wake up.
I told you the surgery. Well, that's the only details you got. You don't want to hear about anything else.
Yeah, just ask my girl. She works in the veterinary, and she's like, "Oh, I'll spare you the details." I'm like, "Yeah, please do. Please spare me all of the details. Just tell me good pupper or good kitty. That's all I need to know." I don't want to know the sad thing. I just want to know good pupper, good kitty.
Don't let me know anything.
So yeah. It is. It's gonna be. We'll see. Hopefully this is the one hiccup with baseball. I've said it from time and time again, though. I'm worried about it. It sucked that tonight's show couldn't be about why the hell isn't Spencer Howard brought up yet, and then Vince Velasquez blows, and if I ever see Vince Velasquez, Cole Irving, and Nick Pivetta pitch in the same game again, I will go down to friggin' Citizens Bank Park and cough COVID all over the friggin' place. And trust me, I can get it. It's at my work.
Views of Anthony.
Yeah. For real, if I ever see those three pitchers pitch in the same game again, just shoot me and or Matt Klentak. Or Joe Girardi, because he deserves heat for throwing all three of those guys out there in the same game.
He doesn't. What is he supposed to do? Who does he have?
For one, put Nick Pivetta in instead of Cole Irving, because Cole Irving is immediately waving the white flag. He is garbage. He is not a good pitcher. Give me 2 weeks. Give me legitimately 2 weeks of training and working on hitting a baseball, and I shit you not, I can take Cole Irving deep. He is a garbage pitcher, and I cannot stand him. Shame on anyone who tried to say he was the next Jamie Moyer. Shame on you.
I've never heard anybody say that.
Oh yeah, because Jamie Moyer didn't have velocity and Cole Irving doesn't have velocity. That was.
I'm pretty sure Jamie Moyer had more velocity than he had even at his age.
You're probably right. Jamie Moyer still has more velocity than Cole Irving. But you know what else Jamie Moyer had was precision and accuracy and movement.
Jamie Moyer was bad for a lot of his career. It wasn't until his mid.
We're talking Phillies Jamie Moyer. Don't you dare just Phillies Jamie Moyer.
No, Phillies
Keith,
Jamie
I
Moyer,
saw you last week on this show with a Jamie Moyer jersey on. How dare you?
Phillies Jamie Moyer was good, but Cubs drafted Jamie Moyer was not good.
Final thoughts segment of the show, by the way, as we bring up Jamie Moyer. Wild Thing can throw better now. Speaking of Wild Thing, our boy Greg had a little interview with Wild Thing recently.
He did.
So shout out to Greg, who's who's slowly becoming a special contributor. He'll be on, if not next week, sometime during August too. I told him we gotta get him back on. We'll have another threesome when there's games going on. So that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Hopefully when Spencer Howard's up and pitching.
Yeah. And I want to see some Connor Brogdon. I do know that there was some call-ups today, and again, we'll talk about them next week. This week was just kind of to wag the finger at baseball. And next week we're gonna hopefully, it seems like, why talk baseball when right now we're a coin flip away from it ending. So next week, hopefully, we'll talk baseball, and we'll definitely be talking Flyers. We'll definitely be talking Sixers, and man, I can't wait. Next week, as much as not that this week wasn't fun, but next week's gonna be so much fun to talk real, meaningful Sixers and Flyers games with you, Keith. I cannot wait.
It's gonna be so
I
good.
can't wait. Because, again, we were excited to at least bitch about some Phillies losses, right? But even that got taken out of our sail. So it feels like we still have yet to talk real sports, and I can't friggin' wait to do it. It's been so long. So with that, guys, any other final thoughts tonight, Keith?
Miami ruins everything.
With everything?
I said Miami ruins everything.
Miami, Florida. Damn you, Florida! You ruin elections. You ruin sports. You
know, get out of here.
And you know what? Half their damn teams got the Rona, and the Phillies still can't take 2 out of 3. I mean, come on. Is that so? So there's a reason why we didn't really want to talk baseball tonight. So next week we will be talking hockey. We will be talking basketball. That we know. Hopefully we'll be talking some Phillies baseball. We'll keep you up to date. We did see some COVID listing as far as like Lane Johnson and a couple other Eagles. It's not that they have it or not, but they are on like the list for precautionaries. They may have come in contact. Like, I don't really. I guess because of HIPAA laws, leagues are being. But like, I don't know. And correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like things should be a little different when you're talking about something such as COVID-19. But I know that's now we're getting into like actual, like politics. Yeah. Like, and I don't want to do that. So I digress. Food for thought. Yeah, final thoughts are I don't have much. I kind of just spouted them all off during that little segment.
Yep.
All of my final thoughts. So once again, thank you to this community, both live on Twitch and on demand on YouTube. You guys have been crushing it. Our Facebook, facebook.com/warroomphilly. Get in on all of the action. Encourage you guys to comment on as many things as possible because that's how our outreach gets spread. So with that, thank you guys all so goddamn much. I am Anthony Pinto.
I'm Keith Malcheski.
And we are out of here. Oh, Phil on the out of here comes in and drops the sub. Thank you, Phil. We are out.